2026 is upcoming and coming fast, and especially with this 4-week break and team principals and the FIA getting together, there is many of things being spoken about for the 2026 regulations, specifically for the aero, safety, and technical parts of it. The 2026 rules that we have so far are very controversial, and a lot of team principals and really the drivers have spoken up about why the cars are going to be super slow and potentially almost at the same speed of an F2 car. With there now being active aero in the rear and the front, that has also questioned the safety of the cars, especially going down the straight and whether there's a malfunction or not. So a lot of that is being addressed and talked about, as well as what's the testing going to be like? How many days are they going to be able to test? Because reliability is going to be really important in this power unit regulation period. The first thing to talk about, and the obvious one, is that Alpine is out of the sport. So now we have 5 engine manufacturers, which is Audi, Honda, Ferrari, Mercedes, and the Ford Red Bull power unit. Audi will be a manufacturer of itself, Honda as well with Aston Martin. Red Bull is going to run it also with their sister team. Mercedes is going to have Williams and McLaren along with it, and possibly now Alpine. And Ferrari is going to run its power unit with the Haas as well. Plenty of stuff is being spoken about. It's mainly rumors. I don't really want to go into the rumors, but if I am to speak about it, right now Mercedes seems to be a step ahead of everybody else, considering what's being spoken about from James Vowles. Obviously, Toto Wolff is going to hype it up as well, but it does seem like their engine is going to be a very quick one going into these regulations. So it'll be interesting to see, especially when we hit that first set of testing, how Mercedes is and where everybody steps up. Because we will see how much they're going to run those power units. They got to test the reliability to see how good it's going to be throughout the season, even at full power. There was also recent talk of kind of like an end of the year rookie race that was supposed to happen in 2024 that's now being explored for 2025, and it's going to continue into the 2026 regulations. It would be nice to see. It'll be cool to see F2 drivers step into F1 machinery, actually have a nice little rookie race, and see how competitive they are against the rest of the grid and the times and so on. It'll be another way for them to show off whether they're good enough to actually compete against the best drivers. But the real interesting stuff that's been coming out recently is about the adjustments that they are awaiting to make on these 2026 cars. As I spoke about, this mainly has to be adjusted into the aerodynamics for improved safety on these 2026 vehicles. So it was spoken about on Wednesday that the governing body of Formula One announced that it has made certain modifications to the technical regulations, notably increasing the aerodynamic performance of cars for 2026. And why this was done is because most of the teams and drivers have spoken about that the car will be very quick on the straights, but in the corners its potential is very low and the downforce is not high enough for it to be actually competitive with its previous times. Even these ground effect regulations have had incredible downforce. The downforce will be reduced by 30% while the drag will be reduced by 55%. And while that's all good for racing, we still want these to be the fastest cars in the world. They'll be more comparable to Indy cars if this is the case. And while this will go up as teams figure out these regulations, they look into the little minor parts where they can actually add more performance, it's a big drop off to have 30% less downforce. So there were some following discussions during the recent meetings of the Technical Advisory Committee and ongoing exchanges with the F1 teams. A number of modifications, as I said, for the 2026 technical regulations in areas of performance, aerodynamics, safety have been included in the latest version of these regulations. A statement that was made is this includes an increase in the expected aerodynamic performance of the cars, so downforce, following close collaboration between teams and FIA in the recent months. A major but necessary revision of the regulations in response to the criticism it faced from drivers and team principals who were concerned about the configuration of 2026 cars, expected to be slow in the corners, but much too fast on the straights. And while this is all good to hear about, there is no confirmation on what this exactly is, but to talk about it and where this more than likely will be changed is the active aerodynamics, because the car themselves, it will be slightly underfloorish. That's what we've been hearing in the rumors, that it will still have a slight underfloor, maybe more than 2021. 2021 had a flat floor with the exception of the diffuser. Front had no type of venturi tunnels or anything to actually drag the air along. While these cars could have slight parts to it, I still think it's going to be slightly flat in the middle area, but just to regulate the flow in the beginning, because this is now a in-washing concept, they could possibly have something there, as well as the diffuser will probably have parts where they can adjust the modifications. It'll probably be very strict though. They want to prevent as much dirty air as possible because that always allows for better racing, more overtakes, makes for a more entertaining race. So a lot of that will be the necessary. But as I said, a malfunction in the active aerodynamics, especially in the rear or the front of the car, could cause for a huge loss of downforce all of a sudden. You go on the brakes, and that car is going to spin out of control. We saw it with Marcus Ericsson. We've seen it multiple times. Monza is going to be one of those tracks, but any track with a big straight, the possibility of that happening is now much higher because the front and the rear wing, and especially because if the front or the rear wing actually gets broken in the race, you're pretty much screwed for the rest of it, because right now you're able to actually activate the front and the rear pretty much on any straight. It's not like a DRS system like we've had previously. The actual DRS effect itself is dead. That's not going to be a big thing. There will be an overtake button that could be used, kind of like they use in Formula E. That will be the revision to DRS. No more active aero. It can just be used whenever you'd like to. Now, to help with these revisions and so that teams can really get down on this, there's going to be more days now in pre-testing to help out with these regulations. We are going to have 9 days, which I am super happy about. It's going to tell us a lot about the cars, who's got it right, who's got it wrong, and really, in general, it's going to help out the teams a big time so that when they come in Bahrain, which should be the first race in 2026, possible to changes, we still have yet to see the calendar, but if it is, teams will be very prepared to get there, how they want to optimize the downforce, and we'll pretty much see these cars in like full effect in Bahrain for 2026. Now, these 9 days are spread out by 3 different weekends, 3 different days. So possibly this pre-testing could start earlier or the season starts later. It'll be interesting to see, but it most helps teams like Red Bull, also the Audi team, who are now first of all making powertrains in Formula 1, and it will be their first time seeing this on the grid. It should help out Honda, but Honda's also been in the sport for a very long period of time. They know how to make their F1 engines, but the team over there at Aston is slightly different to the Red Bull one. They still have a lot of members that were on that Red Bull Honda that's been super successful from 2021 till now. But when we'll know what exactly is being done and where these aero parts, even the technical parts and the safety that they're improving, will be October 17th. That will be our validated date to know when the changes will actually happen, and we'll go over those as well. But it's good to talk about and to see that the team principals and the FIA are actually coming to a conclusion. And I'm glad, because we have to see these cars at optimal speed. It is Formula 1. I do want to see overtakes. I still want to see these cars fly through those S's like a rocket ship. Otherwise, it's not Formula 1. It ends up becoming more of a IndyCar type of racing series. And this is the pinnacle of motorsports, as they always talk about. You have to keep the speed, no matter the cost. It's going to pose many of challenges, definitely introducing this in October 17th. But it will prepare the teams for January 1st when they can work on the cars to prep up and get ready to actually make these cars optimized, and we get to see them on track very, very soon. And while 2025 is going to be exciting, 26 is going to be something different, especially with how big of a change this is and how many different teams we're going to see in that regulation period. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe. Go check out the second channel as well. Will be in the description. Would love if you do that. But thank you anyways for coming by. You guys mean the world, and peace.